You're retro trekking with the Caramel Apples, a podcast where the topic is rarely about apples. This fascinating discussion is all about some of the animated gems that regularly showed up on Saturday mornings, containing nostalgic memories, key connectors to retaining some retro memories that easily intrigued our young hearts and minds. When it comes to finding the fun, so many of the big acronym networks of yesteryear introduced us to various awesome cartoon classics, and this week is no different as we dive into video game king Pac-Man. Ever heard of him? Let's Carmel dive into the fun throwback memories of such a wonderful animated gem. Now with your hosts, Kennedy Rizzo and Cooper Lee.
Hello, Cooper, Orchard Archivers.
Hello.
Oh, yes, we are super stoked to be starting yet another 80s based retro discussion, and it's of no secret how we enjoy discussing such heartwarming throwback topics on any level. So, talking about Pac Man this week is no different, and we have a lot to unpack.
We certainly do, Kenneth. But before we jump into our discussion, Orchard Archivers, you know the Carmel drill. Be sure to subscribe, swing by and say hello on all or one of the socials. I switched that around. On one or all of the socials, and visit retrotrekcarmelapples.com to fuel us with some support with a caffeine boost.
Dark roast, please.
We can't express how much we appreciate you. Now, on to our throwback discussion this week.
Okay, we got Pac-Man. He is an American animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and based on the Namco video game franchise of the same title. It appeared on ABC and ran for 44 episodes over 2 seasons, from September 25th, 1982 to November 5th, 1984. It was the first cartoon based on a video game.
You know, and it was the highest rated Saturday morning cartoon show in the US during that time. Upon its debut, it was watched by an audience of over 20 million children in the US. In addition to adults, the show also inspired the 1984 arcade game Pac-Land.
That's rotten. That's terrible.
It was. Pac-Man, the TV series debut, showcased the adventures of the video game patriarch and his family. It garnered a 6 out of 10 star rating, which is probably about average for an animated cartoon offering at that time. So that was just the appetizer, or Cliff Notes. Let's get into one of the most nostalgic video game offerings was ever about, and what it brought to pop culture fray.
Okay. I really like how the characters have distinct personas, like the ghosts. They're almost like the Three Stooges, right?
Yes.
As each of them are sort of bumbling and incompetent bandits. Pac-Man, we see, is sort of your blue-collar family type man, Really like the design of his character, whom is the same except he has red boots, gloves, and a red cowboy hat, which makes Pac-Man the cowboy or town sheriff. Very interesting.
It's cute.
He's even on that current cowboy western trend we've got going on currently.
Fun fact. Did you know that Pac-Man, the animated series, was the first ever video game to become a cartoon? In the cartoon, Pac-Man was the head of security of the Power Forest, and he was married father of a toddler. I also like that cat and dog. Always good for a laugh or two. Of course, Mrs. Pac-Man is his wife, and the only enemies were the Darth Vader-like Mesmerin and the 5 ghost monsters. Fun fact, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde collectively
Intelligent names.
no major. They were collectively known as the Ghost Gang. They're a quartet of colorful ghost characters from the Pac-Man video game franchise. Created by Tori Iwatani, they first appeared in the 1980 arcade game Pac-Man as the sole antagonist. Now, the ghosts have appeared in every Pac-Man game since, sometimes becoming minor antagonists or allies to Pac-Man, such as in Pac-Man World 3 and the Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures animated series.
Oh, great. And the goal was to get the power pellets. That is how the Pac family pursued dominance when the ghosts want to chomp them. But quickly the tables are turned when they are the hunted there, not the hunters. Yeah, so we always gotta look over your shoulder. Still, it is very good fun and very much, though, cheesy, but some standards, that's just what it offers up. Still a great time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's pure easy 80s nostalgic fodder.
So cute. Okay. As a quick refresher, Orchard Archivers, if you can recall, the actual original Pac-Man video game consisted of a pie-shaped being traveling around a mosaically digital maze, eating as many dots as possible, all while avoiding a roaming group of ghost monsters. It was and still is very popular.
Okay, much thanks to folks warmly going back to embrace anything hotly retro.
Oh, truly, truly. And Hanna-Barbera's adaptation of the concept featured Pac-Man and his family. As we mentioned, that's wife, toddler son, cat, and dog. And their adventures in Pac-Land. So mainly their adventures against the ghost monsters. A fun fact, the ghost monsters were hitmen employed by an overlord named Mesmerin. Mesmeron, anyway. Whose goal was to obtain the town's source of power pellets, which is the lifeblood of the Pac-Land residents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have the story set up, and here's the heist, right? So it's got to get serious.
All right.
So it does sound ominous, but the general feeling was one of humor and comedy.
And as you just mentioned, the Pac-Man show is a typical Hanna-Barbera product containing regular catchphrases used by the characters and formulaic plots. A lot of those storylines are carried over from older Hanna-Barbera shows, hence the footprint or familiar Hanna-Barbera signature that was very clearly detectable.
Yes.
So the ghost monsters being funny villains along the lines of the Chopper Bunch and Dick Dastardly's gang. So there we go. Forever failing miserably in their chase for their prey, often in spectacular ways. And Pac-Man being very similar to Popeye the Sailor Man. So instead of a can of spinach, the yellow guy chows down on a power pellet in order to defeat the bad guys, in this case, chomping them, sending them back for new ghost suits.
It's like, and why are they running? Like, that doesn't sound so horrible. But, for a kid, you totally enjoy that.
That's right. It stokes them imaginations. That's right.
That's it. That's it. And keeps you coming back for more. I can see this both in the actual video game offering as well as the animated cartoon of this in my mind's eye right now. Isn't nostalgia wonderful?
PPPP Pack Power! Yeah, that was cheesy, but Pac-Man definitely had some fun moments. We talk about this quite a lot because it really is a matter of opinion on how good, or enjoyable, or cherished relics were often concerning things surrounding our Gen X younger memories, but viewed by way of retro pop culture. By the time the 80s had rolled around, the trends of Saturday morning animation had shifted from superheroes, teen detectives, and slapstick chases to pop culture fads such as toys, cute mini creatures, or critters, and in the case of Pac-Man, video games. So the creative execs were on it when it came to capitalizing on the coolest trending things going on in our key era.
Yeah. And that makes me think about how, we did a show a few seasons back on Care Bears. And this is similar to that in the vein that there was something very original to their being brought to the masses, right? It's like you just remember the toys, the cartoons, and then the little books and stuff like that. And that's how this is. It was based on a video game, but then it took off so much that then they created a cartoon because the attention and the time and the children were showing up for it, right?
That's right.
It's so cool how things actually get introduced into the world that we knew. But when you're a child, you just remember what was there.
Yeah, it just happened. It was, like you said, it was just an offering.
Yeah, and now that we're older, we can go back and go, oh, wow, off greeting cards. Oh, wow, off of the video game? Cool,
Those dirty dogs. Yeah, that's all the creative execs. No, just kidding.
They have their uses. Few and far between, but anyway. So, while some episodes are indeed dated, rehashed stories, and at times relying too much on a then fad, there are moments of funny Saturday morning craziness that many folks grew up on and loved. One such episode involving the Pack family going on a picnic is downright hilarious. You actually feel sorry for the ghost monsters as they fail from one scene to the next in an attempt to ruin the family outing, of which they are simply unaware of the ghost activity.
See, you have such an empathetic heart. Always expressing all the feels when some entity can't seem to catch a break. But truth be told, I'm 100% with you on that. And stealing the show, Sourpuss and Chomp Chomp, and they were the family pets. That is adorable.
It really is.
Their back and forth battles could have been made into a series all their own. Why were they not made into freestanding characters is a mystery. They're lovable, fun characters.
Yeah. We're quite certain that Pac-Man was especially appreciated as a nostalgic trip for video games geeks and enthusiasts. As far as animation goes, I believe that this was Hanna-Barbera's better example in the 80s.
Yeah.
The storylines were nothing spectacular. They were formulaic ripoffs of Popeye, the Smurfs, and the Jetsons and Flintstones, la la la, yada yada yada, keep going. But Pac-Man and or his family would be bothered by the inept ghost who were henchmen of Mesmerin, a vaguely Gargamel-like being whose sole purpose in life was to bother the citizens of the town the Pax lived in. Yeah, that common HB footprint.
It was very distinctive.
It was chaos.
Yeah, 100%, but fun, right?
Oh yeah.
After some predictable drama commenced, one or more of the packs, they all had their star turns, and most of the packs from the various video games were represented, would ingest a power pill. Should we be talking about this? This is a clean, family-friendly program here. Ahem. Chomp some ghosts, and things would be safe till the next episode.
That's it. I was in grade school or something, when it came out in 82 and found that era of Saturday morning cartoons most agreeable.
Oh, yeah.
If one is going to attempt to make real sense out of the ridiculous era of early 80s cartoons based on products, then one is really barking up the wrong tree. With this being the culture era of my opinion reigning supreme without a proper discussion, and saying that the cartoon goes against things that the video game stood for. What the heck do you think Pac-Man stood for? It was just a game. A simple, fun game. And things like this had us fall into these fantastic worlds to get away from the real of what's swirling around kids in life back then.
Yeah.
This was meant to be fun, calming, and, it was an escape. Mm-hmm. Folks wanted to quickly chop any and everything down if they have the opportunity. So one is free to have a solid opinion on any given topic going, but things like Pac-Man, the game, animated series, aren't to be taken that serious. It was crafted all in good fun. The whole 80s kids-focused era culture was completely imaginative and so often based on fantasy to help kids escape. Fantasy games to help you escape.
That's right.
So, in other words, to numb you to various popular fun serials based on retro games and other forms of pop culture. Last but not least, trending cartoons of the time to go along with and stoke trends popular serials based on the surrounding games and pop culture to numb you. I feel sorry for anyone who may have missed out on the carefreeness of the golden era. It was so... To put it into words is just truly hard. We do the best we can, but living it is it's hard to describe it because it was just what it was.
Yeah, Gen X time was the best.
That's it. It was effortless. And, the Pac-Man character of the video game has heart, a fun, heroic, happy-go-lucky personality, much like most characters of that era. And personalities had to be created in order to make the show possible. Could it have been better? Of course.
Of course it could have.
But it was made with escapist fun in mind, for which we appreciate in the way of the memorable throwback offering.
That's true. And I really like that this fantasy world that is constructed, where it's very colorful and strange world, it truly stoked our wild imaginations with those elements.
Yeah.
So there's not one human in existence, which makes sense why there would be. That would completely mess it up, by the way.
What's the matter with you? Shh.
Most to all consist of packs of various kinds, and the only other diverse race going are the ghosts.
Yeah, I mean, you throw in a human and everybody's going, well, why do they look like Pac-Man? And why do they like, then you enter into this whole conversation of trying to explain this cartoon for kids. Who needs all that?
That's
Just sit
right.
back and watch. So most of the packs are cute looking, as well as the ghost. Makes me wonder why there hasn't been a plush toy line while the show was on.
Mm,
It's curious, right?
yeah.
Like, because they're always about capitalizing, like we said, on the masses. And the children were showing up, and you know they would have asked the parents for these. A lot of things are strange, but everyone has the everyday modern conveniences and customs. So there is some good humor. I wouldn't say great, as there are some lame jokes in places, but that happens with almost every comedy show, as there are hits and misses. But it's the hits that make it count.
That's right. And this show is another under the radar gem. The Pac Man franchise was one of the biggest franchises in gaming in the 80s, and fans globally have played and still play most of the games in the franchise. So there's even a Miss Pac Man, which we remember,
Yep.
a game that has been reviewed over the years. To this day, it is still played and garners avid collectors of merchandise. Oh, there's the merchandise coop.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
for the franchise consistently.
We knew it'd show up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, this cartoon, believe it or not, is a nostalgic fave video game to animate show adaptations of so many. I wouldn't say it's an animated classic in mind of general population, but then again, it's not trying to be. Pac-Man set itself to be what it is, just turn your brain off, plain fun.
And that was the whole point of it right there.
However, what makes this special was that it was the first video game to be an animation adaptation.
The action is what you can expect in a pack game and yesteryear cartoon. We at first see the ghost just simply ruin the day for no good reason. For no reason. Inside joke archivers. Or no particular reason, just because it was their role. They are the bad guys after all. That's what it was.
That's it. In a nutshell, sis. But we really don't expect too much because, after all, the basis is set off a video game. On Pac Man getting chased by ghosts, then him doing the chasing when the opportunity is seized. This, in part, is why this adaptation works because of its simplicity.
It has been great considering Pac Man, both the game as well as the animated series on television. It brings back memories of our childhood. This was one of the best cartoons of the early 80s. Let's pat ourselves on the back, Gen X. So, is this show good? Depends on who you ask. You may love it, or then again, maybe not. But if there's anything you take away from our retro consideration today, is that Pac Man is a perfect example of what was hot at the time, and what's usually hot becomes quite revolutionary. Take a bow, Pac Man.
So stay tuned for an engaging nostalgic conversation with Melissa Rodway right here in the Retro Orchard, where she'll give her keen insight and perspective on the topic of that day. And that's it for this week's episode, but there's much more where that came from. Hit that subscribe button and visit the Retro Orchard Weekly for a sweeter nostalgic experience. Carmel catch you on the other side.